Hello there, my name is Ben Price. I'm from San Antonio. It's September of 2016 and I want to give you a bit of information on these two amplifiers, the Fender Frontman 15R and the 25R. I play guitar and pedal steel in a classic country band here in San Antonio. I normally use a combo amp somewhere in the 50 to 75 watt category. My on-stage amps either have a single 12 or 15-inch speaker. So if I'm playing a gig out, that's probably what I'm using. I want to say, by the way, I'm not a tone freak. The tone I almost always use is a clean tone, a bit of reverb. I rarely use any type of distortion or other special effects. I play in a country band. So why these amps? Why are we talking about these amps today? I also teach music classes here in San Antonio for guitar and pedal steel, and the classes are not at my home, not held here at home. The classes are either a single student or a small handful of students. So I wanted an amp that was small and lightweight, had reasonable tone and volume, was inexpensive, and I ended up with both a Fender Frontman 15R, the one on your left, the black one, and the 25R. I actually bought the 15R first, and then came across a smoking deal on the 25R and ended up picking it up. I've had both of these amps for at least a year. This video will provide my observations on these great little amplifiers. Both of these amplifiers that we're going to be looking at here are stock. There are no changes. Some people have changed out the speaker on the amp and they say that works great, and maybe that does. But these are both stock. I don't believe Fender is making these amps anymore, so getting one of these likely will be through Craigslist or eBay or maybe a pawn shop kind of thing. When I got these amps, they were both used. I paid about $50 for the 15R and about $75 for the 25R. Both these amps are well worth the money. Feature-wise, the 15R is about 15 pounds. You can see from my hand that it's not a large amp. The 25R is about 25 pounds. The control panels between the two are pretty much identical. Both of these are two-channel amplifiers with a clean channel and an overdrive channel. The treble, mid, and bass controls function on both channels. So if you set the treble, middle, and bass to some control, it doesn't matter whether you're on clean or overdrive, whatever level of equalization you have dialed in here, that's what you'll get. The reverb control, they both have reverb, and the same thing, if you have the reverb turned on, it applies to both channels. Both amplifiers have an auxiliary in jack, or RCA jacks, has a headphone output, and the 25R here has a foot switch, which really controls the switching between the clean channel and the distortion channel. Both amplifiers again have separate gain and volume controls for the overdrive channel. So this control on both amplifiers is the clean channel, and so clean volume, and then treble, middle, bass, and reverb. If you push the little switch to put it into overdrive, then this no longer controls it. It's the pre-gain or gain control, the volume control for the drive. It's labeled drive volume, and then treble, middle, bass, and reverb. So very, very simple to operate. You'll pick it up immediately. You don't need an operation manual to work these suckers. The way you switch between the clean and overdrive channel, on the smaller amp here, you can see a small white button. On this 25R, you can't see it. There's a black button right here. You press the button, it toggles between the two. Okay, so we're going to do a quick demo of the things. I'm using a PV USA Stratocaster copy. It's a Predator. The controls are kind of scratchy, so I may have to mess with those a little bit. I'm recording this with a flip video camera, so you're likely listening to this through your computer speakers. So the bottom line on the sound quality that's coming to your ears is probably not going to be very good. But here we go. We'll demo the clean sound, dirty sound, and overdrive sound. So we'll start with the 25R because it's closer to me. I've got the guitar wide open, which is how I normally play the guitar. I have the volume set at about 3 here. The treble, middle, and bass are all set to about 8. And the reverb is on 2, something like that. So, and the guitar is set in the middle position for a Stratocaster. Clean-wise, it's very clean. If you're accustomed to using a Fender amplifier, it sounds like a Fender amplifier. It has a clean, clear kind of sound going on. I'm going to do the, I guess I'll do the clean sound on the 15R. Again, control-wise, it's set to about 2 on the volume. The treble, middle, and bass are about 8. Reverb on this one's set to about 4. Sounds fine. Again, sort of a Fender kind of sound. Slightly different between the two. This is a 10-inch speaker, that's an 8. This has a bit more of an open kind of sound. This has a bit more of sort of a boxy type sound to it, but both quite adequate. So that's good for that. As long as we're here, we'll go ahead and do the dirty sound. And I want to say that, you know, in my, for me, I don't normally use dirty sounds or distortion. So I'm not the best guy to demo this, but I wanted to do it because I know there are folks who say, hey, it's got a great distortion channel, let me give that a try. So let me try to get the distortion thing going here. I'm going to try to do both the dirty sound and then sort of the actual distortion sound. So I've got the gain set very low, it's set at about 2, and then the volume is set at about 2 or 3, so pretty low. So just a bit of dirt there. And that sounds fine. Sounds fine. If you wanted something dirty, that works all right. Actually, as long as I'm here on this amp, I'll go ahead and turn the drive up a bit and get a more distorted sound. And let's see if I can't demo that. Turn the gain up, you get more noise. So I've turned the volume down to compensate. So at any rate, that's the distorted kind of sound. We'll try the 25R here now. I guess I should have spent more paid more attention when they were talking about distortion in class. So we're going to flip this over to the distortion side. Same, it's got a bit of gain on here now, not a lot, just enough to make it dirty. And volume. So works fine, and I'll turn up the distortion a bit. Holy moly. So it has a lot of distortion if that's what you're looking for. Okie dokie, let me get rid of the distortion thing. Put my guitar down. So both amps are well made. My 15R has a little bit of wiggle in the controls. If I move this control, hard to see, but it actually kind of wiggles around a bit. Maybe that's just my particular amp. It doesn't affect the functionality, but it wiggles a bit. On the 25R, it's quite sturdy. So the 15R has a closed back on the back of the amp. The 25R has an open back. Again, they both sound fine, and both have removable power cords, the traditional IEC power cords. My personal notes now on his amplifiers. Both of these really are practice amps. You know, you're not going to be able to drown out the drummer who rides his cymbals standing right next to you, or the guitarist with the Les Paul and the Marshall stack. You know, you're not going to be able to compete with these guys regardless of what you have the settings on. If you're into effects like distortion and things like that, a different amp is probably going to be a better bet for you. I want to talk about the MP3 plug-in thing here. You can plug your iPad or computer. Let's say if you practice with a computer, you go on YouTube, you want to learn a song, you got your computer on YouTube, and you plug the headphone out thing, you want to plug it in here. You can get an adapter that'll do that. The challenge is you perhaps will run into a thing called a ground loop, which is a buzzy, quite an annoying buzzy sound. You will definitely know it if you have a ground loop. And the way to get rid of that is to go on eBay or somewhere and buy a ground loop isolator. They're inexpensive, they're $5 or $10, and that will get rid of the ground loop noise, both of these. Now if the device you're using is like an iPhone, you won't have the ground loop problem. You'll only get the ground loop problem if both the amplifier is plugged into the wall, which it has to be, and your other device, like a laptop, if it's plugged into the wall, then you perhaps will get the ground loop problem. If the other device is not plugged into the wall, then you won't have that issue. Anyway, if you want to use this for practicing, you'll definitely want to be aware of that. Also, and this is important, the volume level on this is set to kind of wide open. So when you plug your device in, there you are normally listening to your computer, you're listening to YouTube, you very likely have the volume on your laptop set quite high, and you control the volume at the screen level. So now when you plug in your laptop to this device here and you want to practice, it's going to be set to super loud. So when you plug that in and you hit play, it's going to blow you right out of your house. So be aware, you've been warned. When you use this thing, you want to make sure you turn the volume control on your laptop or iPad, whatever it is, turn it down to 0, then slowly bring it up. Because this is quite a bit of gain to it, this thing. Okay, there is a difference in the sound between the 15R and the 25R. The 25R has sort of a more traditional Fender sound. Very clean, very open, works well. The 15 does have a sort of a boxy kind of sound. It's an 8-inch speaker. Just that's the way it's built. Both of them though they work quite well. Again, for a practice amp, they're fantastic. I actually have used this 25R in situations where I'm playing a gig and I'm playing rhythm guitar in a country band, and there's maybe 50 people in the audience. It's a small gig. I've used a 25R and it works fine. So you could use a 25R out, although my recommendation is consider these both to be practice amplifiers. You're going to use them at home, or maybe if you're a teacher, you're going to use them when you have a student around. Other practice amplifiers. If you're looking at this kind of thing, there is no shortage of small, inexpensive practice amplifiers in the market today. These are older amps. Again, Fender doesn't make these anymore. These are older amps, and that's why the controls are very straightforward. The newer amps because digital effects are cheap to incorporate into the amplifiers, most newer amps will have lots and lots of built-in digital effects. So you can get a Line 6, a 15-watt amplifier, with an 8-inch speaker for $100 kind of thing, and they'll have tons of amp modeling and effects and all that. So if that's something you're interested in, there is no shortage of these suckers. If what you want is just something really simple, the newer ones will probably have effects built in. You can look on Craigslist or eBay and do these. The joy of Craigslist, you get to go to the person's house and plug it in and make sure it's working before you slap down your hard-earned cash. So in summary, if you have the opportunity to pick up one of these amplifiers cheap, you just can't go wrong. Either one of these work great, particularly if you're just practicing at home or you're doing something very, very simple. They're really inexpensive, they're light, they have good tone, you're all set. So if you get a chance to pick one of these up, you just simply can't go wrong. If you have any questions or comments about the amplifiers or other issues like this, feel free to post a question or a comment below, and I'll make sure I respond to you right away. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this. I know this is a bit of a long thing, but thank you for taking the time to hang in there, and I wish you the best of luck with your future playing.